What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So this week, an interview went up with Doug Bowser and Polygon talking about the Switch Pro and even why games were being discontinued at the end of March. A lot of you sent me this interview to take a look at, and I figured we would talk about it somewhat here today because there were some good bits of information, but there was also a lot of PR dodging done by Doug Bowser. Also, I wanted to talk a bit about the PlayStation 5 bot situation because Walmart gave us an idea as to how much traffic they are dealing with some of these bots that are making thousands and even millions of requests all at once. Oh, and Sephiroth is out next week in Smash Bros. Ultimate, but there is a way you can play as him like right now. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're brand new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're gonna start today with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, as we did get a new update that adds functionality for those PlayStation 5 adaptive triggers, which is probably the biggest improvement upgrade, I would say, for the PlayStation controller. And you can even argue just the entire generation right now, because the controller itself is really the big leap. Yes, visuals have gotten better, loading's faster, all of this stuff, but the controller itself is really well done, and the adaptive triggers are being added into Assassin's Creed Valhalla with update 1.010. What it's gonna do is, you guessed it, when you use a bow, it will have different points and different amounts of tension as you pull back your bowstring, and it will change depending on which bow you're using, like a light bow or a hunter bow or any of that. And while it is very basic, it's like the default. I mean, that's what Sony used as its first example as to how this was going to operate and what it was going to feel like. It's at least something. Like, Ubisoft went back and added an update that they probably didn't have to. Like, people were just more or less thinking, I wonder how they'll use this in the next Assassin's Creed game. But they went back, an update, and added something pretty standard into the game. But think about what we've seen in something like Astro's Playroom, where when you're climbing up the wall and you press down just the right way, you'll grab onto it. I mean, Assassin's Creed has a lot of wall climbing, parkour, and all this stuff, so maybe they could figure something out like that for the next Assassin's Creed. But pretty cool. Go get Assassin's Creed Valhalla updated, and you can check out the adaptive triggers. Also, there was a lot of talk around Hades, as it was a nominee for Game of the Year at the Game Awards, and if you were someone who maybe picked it up because you were just curious about what it was exactly, you saw it was on the, I guess, on the cheaper side compared to the other games around it, and maybe you really liked it, but you also wanted to get it on your PC, however, you don't want to start over, right? Well, there's a new feature that's now been added this week to Hades, and we can see the tweet here. Our cross saves update for Hades is out now on Nintendo Switch. Now, what this is going to allow you to do, as you see the little card there, it'll allow you to transfer your data from Steam to Switch and back and forth, or the Epic Game Store even. This is a great feature to have, and we've seen it in other Switch games. The Witcher does it, which is a really cool idea because, I mean, think about it. A lot of people right now, one of the biggest combos I've seen for systems is the Switch and PC. So you play a lot of your games at home on your PC, and then when you're on the go, you'll use your Switch. The ability to transfer your saves back and forth really brings those two together, and it's a really cool thing, I think, to have. So there you go. If you have it on both right now, you can transfer Hades back and forth for your save data, or maybe you have it on one or the other, and you've been thinking about getting on the other one, but you don't want to start over. There you go. You can pick it up, transfer your save data over, and pick right up. Oh, and we do have a bit of an update from the story yesterday with Red Candle Games and the whole situation with GOG and Devotion. They did put out a tweet addressing the situation, saying, earlier, GOG has announced on its official Twitter, after receiving many messages from gamers, we have decided not to list the game in our store. Though regretful, but we are willing to understand and respect GOG's decision. For the players looking forward to Devotion's re-release, please accept our most sincere apology. This is a difficult predicament to overcome, but we won't stop striving. So, to be honest, with Red Candle Games, they're probably going to have to do this themselves. I don't think a lot of storefronts, digital storefronts out there are going to pick them up and say, yeah, come on in, especially if they are like a larger digital storefront that's trying to do business in China. Most likely they're just going to avoid them. To them, it's not worth bringing one game in to potentially cost them a ton of money overseas. It's just, for a lot of the way these companies think, it's easier just to avoid the situation. So what I would say is, hopefully Red Candle Games can set up their own website with payment system and all of this, and literally just sell the game right to people who want it. There's enough eyes on the situation now to where they could probably make it work on their own without needing the promotion of a GOG or a Steam or anything like that. So here's hoping they can figure all of that out. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Doug Bowser and Polygon, because I'll give Polygon some credit here. They asked some good questions, and they actually followed up on those questions. They didn't just let Doug Bowser just go off. Well, they let him go off for a while, but then they came right back and said, yeah, but what about the question I just asked. So they did press him a bit, and hey, Doug did his best PR spin move to try to get away from a lot of this, but we're gonna go over some, I'm gonna skip some of the stuff that he said, because it was, seriously, it was like paragraphs of just promotion for the most part for different games. But let's go over here with the first question, which was, hey, why are you delisting a bunch of games on March 31st? So they're only been in the market for like 6 months, they're not even digital. What's going on with that? Yeah, I think I use a simple word: celebration. It's just, this is a celebration of Mario's 35th anniversary. I wanted to celebrate in unique and different ways, and we've done that through games like Super Mario 3D All-Stars, or we will be doing that through future releases such as Super Mario 3D World Bowser's Fury. And it's not a strategy that we're going to be using widely, but it's one we thought was very unique for the actual anniversary. And then the interviewer comes back and says, yeah, you didn't really answer the question that well. I get the celebration aspect. I understand that. But I just don't understand the consumer side of it, where someone who buys a Switch in June of next year is just never going to be able to buy those games. I just don't see the upside, quite honestly. Doug Bowser says, yeah, at this point, the decision was really made around that celebration feature and aspect. I can't speak to plans beyond the end of March. So the big thing here, Nintendo of America is a marketing branch for NCL, or Nintendo Japan headquarters. They don't really make a lot of the decisions. They just try to explain these decisions to us that don't necessarily make sense to like any of us. The idea of removing Mario 3D All-Stars is strange. The only thing I can think of is they want to take something like Mario 64 and then reuse that in like the Nintendo Switch Online service when they launch Nintendo 64 games, because it would be very strange to just take Mario 64 and drop it on there and then also have it in a collection next to 2 other games. Like, that wouldn't line up too well. So I understand maybe that's what they want to do. They want to repackage some of these games after the fact, and they might even look at Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy, Mario 64 in a $6 package and say, well, that's just too much value. We're only going to do it for 6 months. I guess the one good thing here is as Doug Bowser says, it's not a strategy they're going to use often, or one they're going to use regularly going forward, which, yeah, I would expect that. I feel like Breath of the Wild 2 is probably going to be on sale for more than 6 months. And then Doug Bowser was asked about the idea of a Switch Pro, mostly because the current Switch is getting pushed pretty heavily by third parties. We do see that the overall concept works. So are you going to build on this concept and have some sort of hardware refresh to continue on the momentum and continue to spike sales? Yeah, a couple of thoughts there. There were a few questions in there. Let me just break it down. First, we're always looking at technology, and as we know, technology is constantly evolving and changing, and we're always looking at what is coming to determine how can it enhance and improve the gameplay experience, and whether that's on a current platform or whether that's on a future platform, we're always looking at that. However, we also see right now, and we just talked about it, that the momentum on Nintendo Switch Lite in the 4th year is strong, and we believe we're changing the trajectory of another typical console life cycle. We will continue for the foreseeable future to really lean into both of those platforms and the content that comes with it, because it's the symbiotic relationship that makes the real difference, and it's why Nintendo Switch is so differentiated. So that's what we'll continue to lean into as we go into really what will be the 5th year of Nintendo Switch, and as Mr. Furukawa mentioned in his corporate management policy briefing, we believe we're just at the midpoint of this life cycle on this platform. Right now, with the momentum that we have, our focus will be on the existing form factors, and you know what? That is the exact answer I would expect if you asked Nintendo about another Switch when we're right in the middle of a holiday season where they are trying to sell the current Switch. You're not going to break headlines really with Nintendo of America in December asking about new hardware for next year when they're trying to sell the Switch and the Switch Lite. They say, hey, they're doing really well. Momentum is rolling along. I mean, they have no problem selling the Switch at all right now. It just took the November MPD. You know what? It's going to take the December MPD too, because there's no PS5s or Xboxes available really in stores. So yeah, the Switch will probably do really, really well in December. What's going to happen here is Nintendo will continue to say that they're not really doing much with a Switch Pro up until like a week before when the Switch Pro gets announced. They did it with the DS Lite, they would do it here. So unfortunately, Doug Bowser really said a lot here without really saying much. I mean, really at the end of it, all he said was, we'll continue to focus on the Nintendo Switch and the Nintendo Switch Lite. Like I said, credit to Polygon for continuing to push on this and say, are you guys doing this? Or can you give me a straight answer? And they got a lot of, we're just going to focus now on what we have, without actually saying, no, there's no Switch Pro coming in the future. So yeah, like I said, the earliest Nintendo will say there's a Switch Pro coming is probably when they're ready to say, yeah, the Switch Pro is coming. Like once that trailer goes up on YouTube, they'll jump on the interview and tell you it's coming. Next up, let's talk about the PlayStation 5 reseller scalper situation online using bots. And it's been frustrating. Whenever these scheduled releases go up, and I think it happened yesterday, the website just crashes. Walmart had them go up and then you get the little oh dear thing where the sites crash, get the 404 error. Maybe you had the system in your cart and it gets ripped out of there. It's really frustrating. Well, we now know, according to Walmart, how hard they are getting hit with bots currently. This was actually posted up on their website. Chief Information Security Officer Jerry Geisler notes that when its first PS5 pre-orders went live on November 25th, the retailer blocked not one, not two, but 20 million bot attempts within just the first 30 minutes. Building on this, it also audits and quickly cancels any orders that it confirms were purchased by bots. As a result, Geisler claims the vast majority of next-gen consoles have been purchased by actual real Walmart customers. It's just the issue is, well, the website keeps getting destroyed by traffic. So being able to actually get one of these systems is very difficult. And I do still think a lot of bots are making their way out of this whole thing with several PlayStation 5 systems, but it really puts into perspective 20 million bot attempts in 30 minutes. Now, one bot can make thousands of requests all at once, so you can see how it will quickly overwhelm these websites. And really, these different scripts for these bots will continue to evolve alongside of these websites attempting to prevent them from actually being able to buy these systems, because a lot of these different bots belong to subscription services from different groups. And while they may say they don't use bots to necessarily get these different systems, I think most of us understand that they absolutely do, because if one of these groups use it, the other one would as well, to try to at least stay even with them in a competitive market that's become PlayStation 5 reselling. So the only answer here is that Sony continues to push PS5 systems out, and then it becomes less lucrative and they move on to like the next sneaker release or the next video card drop or something. So hopefully that happens by like April at the latest. But yeah, 20 million bot attempts. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense why Walmart was struggling so bad and crashing. Next up, let's talk about Bravely Default 2. That's actually coming out February 26th. So we're getting pretty close now for the release of this game. And we already had one demo, but now we have the final demo. It's actually out now. So if you've been wanting to try this game out, you can go grab it. In fact, they posted this description up on the Nintendo website saying, experience the game's risk and reward system, character strategy, and stunning visuals in the latest Bravely Default 2 final demo. In this demo, the game's 4 main characters are already on their journey with jobs and abilities at their disposal, and there's a bonus. Players who download the demo by February 26, 2021 will receive 100 My Nintendo Platinum points. And you know what? I do like this strategy from Square, because what they did with the demo for Bravely Default 2 was they collected feedback, and they did this with Octopath Traveler as well, where they had this demo out, they did a few of them even, and they saw what people thought of the game, and then they worked to change and upgrade and do different things, rebalance it as they went along. It's worked really well for Square in the past, and I think it's going to work really well for Bravely Default 2. But if you're someone who just wanted to try it after at least hearing about it, there's a free demo. You can go grab it now, and you can even post some feedback to Square, so go check it out. In our last bit of news, let's talk about Sephiroth in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Sakurai did an entire 35-minute presentation yesterday on Sephiroth, showing off the different mechanics, his new stage, a bunch of different songs, and we did also have some Mii Fighter costumes that once I saw one of them, I said, that'll probably make some people mad. So why don't we start with those first? So we can actually see them here. There were 5 of them. We have Barret, Tifa, Aerith, Chocobo, and then Gino. There was a lot of speculation and hope from people in the Smash community that Gino would be one of the final fighters that gets added, and well, the fact that they brought up, I guess, Gino's Mii Fighter costume, for a lot of people basically gets rid of that hope, kind of deflates the excitement around Gino possibly showing up. Then we also have Sephiroth's stage, which is Northern Cave. I love the look of this. You kind of drop into the cave down there and fly around and all this really, really cool stuff there. But the big thing here is that you actually have the opportunity to unlock Sephiroth early. The way this is going to work, according to Sakurai, and it's actually available now, you can go try to beat Sephiroth, because Sephiroth is naturally a boss character. So the way they're going to do this is there is a Sephiroth challenge, a limited time event that's going to run up to release, it looks like, and you'll be able to challenge Sephiroth. There's a range of difficulties, and at that time, if you beat him, you get Sephiroth. You can play as him now, as long as you have the fighter pass already ready to go. And that's a really cool idea. The thing with Sakurai is he continues to figure out ways to surprise the Smash community. And this is just the latest example. Otherwise, though, Sephiroth will be available December 22nd, and there are going to be 9 different song lists added, which is pretty cool to see that. And Sephiroth probably has one of the coolest victory screens I've seen as well, where he kind of turns and walks into the fire. So hey, really good presentation there. Sephiroth looks great. I would say overall the presentation went well, other than Gino for the most part, but good stuff there. And hey, go try your hand because it is available now to try to go beat Sephiroth. They did mention if they thought about making it very hard or like one chance to beat Sephiroth, that would have been something to see. It's very hard. You have one shot to beat Sephiroth and that's it. Can you beat him? And then you get him early. I don't know. I'm curious how much rage there would have been online around that. So they decided, nah, we won't do that. You just got to be able to beat him. You get several tries, of course, to do it, and see you can. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Lucas saying, take it home, beat it in a couple of days and return it. I'm guilty of this. Played Assassin's Creed 2 over a couple of days and then returned it to GameStop to get Assassin's Creed Brotherhood in like another lifetime, way back in the day. That would happen a lot. I saw people come into GameStop where I was and they would say, hey, I want to return this, because at the time, if you bought a used game from GameStop, we would have to take it back if you didn't like it. That was literally one of the reasons in the computer system. You would press it and say, customer did not like this, and then they could pick out another game. Like they'd just get their store credit back. And I saw people do this like 3 or 4 times in a row, and you realize, oh, they're basically just renting these games. I mean, that it was part of the policy. It was there. And they were able to do it. Now you had to take their information down, most likely because I'm sure GameStop was at least tracking as to which customers were trying to take advantage of this whole thing. But I mean, I know a lot of people did, and I think GameStop probably cracked down on that a bit now. But yeah, you weren't alone. A lot of people were doing that. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit the like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Whereas Doug Bowser and the Polygon interview with the Switch Pro and the Mario 3D collection and other things being delisted at the end of March. It was a lot of PR speak, a lot of dodging back and forth from Doug Bowser. No outright denials of anything for the Switch Pro, but do you still think one is coming next year? Is it first half? Is it late in the year around holiday? Or do you think they're just sticking with what they have now throughout the next 4 years possibly? Also, what about the bot situation around the PlayStation 5 and having 20 million requests come in 30 minutes when those things first went live at Walmart? And then Sephiroth in Smash, did you already unlock him? Let me know down below. Thanks guys for watching. Have a great weekend. I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time for Newswave.